Hello friends. In this video we are going to talk about the famous inventor, Louis Braille. If you want to learn English, please watch till the end. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. Louis Braille was born in France in 1809. He would grow up to change the lives of millions of blind people around the world. Louis was born in the small village of Coupvray. His father was a maker of leather tools and horse equipment. As a young child, Louis loved watching his father work. He was curious about every tool in the workshop. When Louis was 3 years old, a terrible accident happened. He picked up one of his father's sharp awls and tried to copy his work. The tool slipped and injured one of his eyes. Doctors tried their best to help him. But medicine at that time was very limited. Soon, an infection spread from the injured eye to the other one. By the time Louis was 5 years old, he had become completely blind. Losing his sight changed his life forever. But it did not take away his desire to learn. His family loved and supported him. They encouraged him to stay curious and keep studying. Louis attended the local village school. His teachers quickly realized he was a bright student. He had an excellent memory. He listened carefully and remembered almost everything he heard. When Louis was 10 years old, he earned a place at the Royal Institution for Blind Youth in Paris. This was one of the first schools in the world created for blind students. Leaving home was difficult. But Louis was excited to learn. The school gave students books with raised letters. These letters could be felt with the fingers. However, the books had many problems. They were very large and heavy. Only a few books could be made because they were expensive. Reading them was slow. Writing was even harder. Blind students had no simple way to write messages for themselves. Louis wanted something better. He believed blind people deserved a faster and easier way to read and write. Around this time, a French army officer named Charles Barbier visited the school. He showed a system called night writing. It used raised dots instead of raised letters. The system was created so soldiers could read messages in the dark without speaking. Although it was clever, it was difficult to use. The patterns were too large and confusing. Many people believed the idea would never become useful. But Louis saw great promise in it. He thought it could be improved. At only 15 years old, Louis began working on a new system. He spent many hours testing different patterns of dots. He wanted the symbols to be easy to feel with one fingertip. He also wanted them to be quick to read. After many attempts, Louis created a system using 6 raised dots. Different combinations of these dots represented letters. Other combinations represented numbers and punctuation. The system was small, simple, and efficient. Students could learn it much faster than raised letters. They could also write it themselves using simple tools. Louis had created something remarkable. This new system later became known as Braille. At first, not everyone welcomed the new invention. Some teachers believed raised letters were still better. Others simply did not want to change. Even though students liked Braille, many schools refused to teach it. Louis continued improving his system. He added symbols for mathematics. He created symbols for music as well. This allowed blind musicians to read and write music independently. Louis himself enjoyed music. He became an excellent organ player. He performed in churches around Paris. His invention was only part of his life. He also became a teacher at the same school where he had studied. He patiently helped younger students. He believed every blind child deserved the chance to learn. Sadly, Louis often struggled with poor health. He developed tuberculosis, a serious disease that was common at the time. Even while he was sick, he continued teaching and improving his work. He never gave up on his dream. Louis Braille died in 1852. He was only 43 years old. When he died, his writing system was still not widely accepted. Many schools continued using older methods. But his students believed in his invention. They continued using Braille because they knew how useful it was. Slowly, more teachers began to change their minds. More schools started teaching Braille. Its success spread beyond France. Countries around the world adapted the system for their own languages. Today, Braille is used in hundreds of languages. Millions of blind and visually impaired people rely on it every day. Braille appears on books, signs, elevators, medicine packages, hotel rooms, and many public places. It gives people the ability to read independently. It also gives them the ability to write without needing someone else's help. The invention opened doors to education. It helped people find jobs and live more independent lives. Louis Braille never became rich or famous during his lifetime. He never saw how important his invention would become. Years after his death, people finally recognized his achievement. His remains were moved to the Pantheon in Paris. This is one of France's highest honors. His hometown kept his hands buried there as a special tribute. The hands that created Braille remained in the village where he was born. Today, Louis Braille is remembered around the world. Schools teach students about his life. Blind children still learn the writing system he invented nearly 200 years ago. His simple idea changed education forever. It proved that great inventions do not always come from adults with large laboratories. Sometimes they come from a determined teenager who refuses to accept that something cannot be improved. Louis Braille showed that one person's determination can transform millions of lives. His story is one of courage, creativity, and kindness. His invention continues to help people read, learn, work, and communicate every single day. More than 2 centuries after his birth, the small patterns of raised dots he created remain one of the world's greatest tools for education and independence. His legacy lives on every time someone runs their fingers across a page of Braille and discovers the joy of reading for themselves. Friends, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I will see you all next time.